Hey guys, MoiDawg here, and today we're going to be covering everything new to Squad in update V5.1. With this new update, it's been a long time coming, but we finally have our first taste of the Pacific Theater with a brand new playable map. There are quite a few new layer and faction tweaks that will make for much more interesting map rotations, and there are a few other gameplay and balance changes which should make for much better games. It's a small update, but an important one, so let's get into it. But before we get into that, this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, the mobile RPG sensation with over 80 million downloads worldwide. It's completely free to play with over 700 completely unique champions to collect, endless ways to customize them as your own, and plenty of new boss fights and PvP content each and every month. My top 3 champions? Well, how can you pass up an armored clad bear? Guess what? You can't. Secondly, I want an elf waifu, so I'm gonna go get an elf waifu. And finally, I want a scantily clad barbarian giant because, well, okay, I don't need to answer that, alright, buddy? Get in the party, we're gonna go fight some bosses. And speaking of bosses, there's a brand new one, Akumori the Phantom Shogun. This undead general is guarding the accessory ascension, a brand new feature allowing you to upgrade all of your gear to become much more powerful than ever before. And if you somehow managed to miss it, there is now a new animated limited series called Raid Call of the Arbiter, and you can check out all 10 episodes on the official Raid Shadow Legends YouTube channel. If you haven't started your Raid adventure yet, what are you waiting for? Use my link in the description or scan this QR code on screen right now to get some insane bonuses. We're talking a champion Drake and other incredibly useful things like energy refills, a skill tome, and XP booster. Click the link down in the description below, scan the QR code, and I'll see you out on the battlefield. Thank you again for Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video, and now let's get on with it. Alright, so we've had quite a few changes to Squad over this past year, including some brand new vehicles like the BM21 Grad for the regular militia, the anti-tank Sprout for the VDV, and the ZTD for the PLA Marines. And that's not even talking about all the new weapons and kits that did also come with all these factions. So naturally, we're going to have some growing pains with all of this new stuff. Well, in V5.1, the devs have given us a nice balance update, and that starts with the BM21 Grad. Now, there's no timer or reload changes since I know it takes forever to reload this thing, but the Grad rockets themselves have changed. Now, as they impact, they will actually be doing 2 different types of damage, fragmentation and explosive. Fragmentation damage has a radius of 35 meters and is good for attacking infantry and light-skinned vehicles, but it won't be effective against heavy armor and cannot penetrate through buildings. Explosive damage will have a smaller radius of 10 meters and can not only destroy vehicles or FOB deployables, but also penetrate through walls and do damage inside of buildings. This is a nice change that should make Grads much more effective, especially when targeting FOB areas or objectives within towns. Additionally, the Chinese vehicles with the Type 88 machine gun on top and the Commander Crow's heavy MG on the VDV Sprout have actually had their overheat mechanics removed, allowing for much better infantry support and defense. Personally though, if you are reducing overheat mechanics, I really think the devs should also look at the US Army and their Striker, since those things overheat so quickly and can get torn to shreds by almost every single new vehicle now. And although it's not a real buff to the vehicle itself, the British have had their Warriors spawn timers reduced from 15 minutes down to 10 minutes, bringing them more in line with BTRs and LAVs. Personally, I think the Warriors are pretty underrated since many players try to treat them like BMPs and end up getting them killed due to the slower rate of fire and the small magazine, but a shorter spawn timer should definitely make the British as a whole much stronger, especially since they don't have any ATGM vehicles at the moment. And one of the newest factions, the Russian Airborne or VDV, have had a few balance changes as well. First is for the AK-12, and they have actually finally had their foregrips implemented, which means that they actually reduce the recoil when you fire the weapon. When this weapon was released in the last update, despite it having and showing a foregrip, it actually didn't reduce any recoil on the rifle, and in this update, well, we finally have it fixed. As you can see here, the foregrip does actually have some minor recoil improvements, so do consider that when selecting your rifle in the future. For the kits themselves, VDV LATs have also been reworked. LAT 1 will now have the AK-12 and 1P87 reflex as their primary, and will use the RPG with the PGO long-range scope, equipped with 2 heat rounds and 2 frag rounds. LAT 2 will now use the 1P78 optic and the Iron Sight RPG with 1 heat and 2 frags. This is a much better balance for LAT since previously the shorter range rifle optic would also get the worst Iron Sight RPG, making it almost always the worst option. Now, however, I would personally pick the AK-12 and 1P87 Reflex over the other one in order to get the better RPGs, which will make infantry fighting much less effective, but my anti-armor fighting is going to be so much more effective. And that's probably the best way to go about kit balance, so I'm actually really happy to see these changes. There are a bunch of other smaller map and layer tweaks, like updating vehicle layouts or addressing some smaller bugs, and I have included the link to the full patch notes down below if you would like to read all of those. But the biggest change that you'll probably notice is the addition of the Pacific Proving Grounds as the newest playable map. Pacific Proving Grounds is no longer just a training range, and we now have it as a seeding version as well as two fully playable layers, ASV1 and ASV2. Now, as much as I've wanted to play the Pacific and as much as I got super hyped over their last dev blog where they said we're getting this, I've got to say, I think this map is incredibly disappointing. The map itself is huge, but the playable area is just so small. I thought we were going to get some like very interesting and cool map layouts where we could be island hopping with amphibious vehicles and boats, maybe a helicopter, but instead both ASV1 and ASV2 simply have this brand new island, and on it all of the objectives are so close to each other you just get one Logia side and two supporting amphibious vehicles, and there's not even a boat. Now, to be fair, even if we had boats, since the playable area is just so small, I don't think we could even really use them, which just kind of sucks. Honestly, I don't see this map really scratching that itch for the Pacific like many people wanted, but I will say that the small area that you can play on is really fun. The beach, the jungle, the bunker area, it all plays a lot like the old Battlefield 1942 and console exclusive Battlefield 1943 Iwo Jima maps. Now, obviously, we don't have a very large airstrip, but the infantry fights are really fun, they're really chaotic, and you can do some pretty good damage with a proper flank and vehicle support. I think you have fun when you're actually playing this, but overall, we'll see how long it lasts in rotation, since it's just really, unfortunately, not much of what we were all expecting. Now, one other map layer that I would like to mention is the new Yehorivka Invasion V4 layer with the VDV attacking and the irregular militia defending. This layer is similar to both the British and Canadian Yeho layers, where the attackers start at the bottom right of the map and their first point is the airfield. But in true VDV fashion, you get 4 helicopters to start with, and that's it. That's it for 20 whole minutes. This is one of the coolest, most unique layers in the game right now, and it really leans into what the faction is supposed to be. The VDV will have to use their air assets properly in order to get them a foothold at the airfield, and then, if they're successful, the 20-minute spawn timers for the other lightly armored vehicles will represent a type of armored convoy that can link up to the forces that secured the area. It's really cool, it's really unique, and has the potential for being extremely fun if everyone just rolls with it. Now, I know a lot of people do tend to get bent out of shape on weird vehicle layers, but honestly, this one looks like it will be awesome. But that's about everything in V5.1. I've included the link down to the full patch notes in the description below if you are interested in checking every little detail, but welcome to the new squad. What do you guys think? Is the Pacific Proving Grounds fun for you? Are the weapon and vehicle balance changes a good or bad thing? And are you as excited as I am to try an air assault Yeho? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. But that's it for me. Until next time, peace.